Hello and welcome to our 7-8 minutes of weekly Torah talk. With us today, Michelle Goldhaber. She's a student at Hebrew College. Hello and thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Our parsha is Vayeshev. That's a really eventful parsha. So let me just highlight a few things. Jacob settles in Hebron with his 12 sons. His favorite is 17-year-old Joseph. Yosef relates to his brothers two of his dreams, which foretell that he is destined to rule over them. Two brothers, Shimon and Levi, plot to kill Joseph, but Reuven, the elder, suggests that they throw him into a pit instead. While Joseph is in the pit, Judah, Yehuda, has him sold to a band of passing Ishmaelites, and he ends up in Egypt. The brothers dip Yosef's coat in the blood of a goat and show it to Jacob, leading him to believe that his son is dead. After some mishap in Egypt, Yosef is thrown into prison. There he interprets correctly the dreams of fellow prisoners. Also in this parsha, Tamar, Judah's daughter-in-law, disguises herself as a prostitute and seduces Judah for reasons that you can read about in the parsha. The first pasuk of the parsha is Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan. Jacob dwelled in the land of his father's sojournings in the land of Canaan. So what do we start with? Let's start with there are a few brothers in the parsha. We see Shimon and Levi, they want to kill Joseph. We see Joseph, he's very cocky with the other brothers. We see Reuven, the firstborn, behaving, maybe more maturely than some of the brothers, but he's not really going against them. And we see Judah, who decides to sell him away. So can we contrast and compare the behavior of the different brothers?
Yeah, so I think the brothers' behaviors are so very typical in a family and typical among human beings. I mean, there's sibling rivalry, there's jealousy, there's trying to establish some relationships, trying to be a peace builder sometimes and a negotiator. So we have Reuven, who takes some responsibility. He's the eldest, and he takes some responsibility for Yosef. And he tries to temper or mitigate Shimon and Levi's urge to kill their brother. And I think, if Reuven had his choice, he would save him altogether. But I think he's very wise. He's a great negotiator. He knows that sometimes in order to get some of what you want, you have to give up other parts of what you want. So he makes this suggestion that they, instead of killing him, just throw him in the pit.
So you suspect that might he not intervene, they would have killed Yosef? Or might he said, we can't do anything, just leave him alone?
I think they might have killed him. I think that was where the story was leading us. And then it was Reuven's intervention that prevented that. And I think, you describe Yosef as cocky, and he definitely has those traits. I think he exercised maybe some lack of sensitivity and poor judgment in reporting his dreams to his brothers and to his father about being superior to them. However, I feel a lot of sympathy for him. I think he's, really yearning to have a relationship with his brothers. He just doesn't really know how to do it. And he is almost incapable of lying. So
Right.
He sees a certain truth, and he cannot help but report exactly what he sees.
Which keeps getting him in trouble.
Definitely keeps getting him in trouble, as is often the case when you have people who are trying to show some integrity and keep true to their values. Sometimes it's not the most popular thing to do, especially in a world of chaos and schemes and lies, which we see in this story and also in our world, of course, right now.
Right. Being a truth teller, is this something that he also learns how to mitigate with time? Or is it something that, serves him badly at the beginning and then serves him well towards the end?
I think it does end up serving him well. He gains a lot of trust from people around him. He's, trusted by Potiphar to run his whole household. And even when he's in prison, he's trusted to kind of have responsibility over the other prisoners and the day-to-day functions of the prison. So he's sort of, he gains a lot of respect from the people around him. I think he's seen as somebody not just who is blessed by God, which is also noted about him, but by his actions and behaviors, his speech, he clearly shows himself a natural leader and also a man of integrity.
Right.
So I think part of the message is that eventually, hopefully,
Keep it up in the hope that one day it will serve you well.
we can hope.
And you mentioned Potiphar and the story with it ends badly at the Potiphar house because of an attempt by Potiphar's wife to seduce Joseph. And in fact, in our parsha, we have two women trying to seduce two powerful men, Joseph and Yehuda. So can we compare these two stories?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You have Tamar, who is trying to have children and trying to continue the line. And Yehuda, who was very mischievous in the beginning of the story with Yosef and arranging his sale to the Ishmaelites, he continues to be pretty mischievous and withholds his third son from marrying Tamar. So he tries to kind of manipulate the situation to his own benefit. But Tamar is a bit more clever, and she finds a way to actually seduce him so that she can carry on his seed. And in the end, he does own up to what has happened. He may have been forced to do so. He may have needed to save face. But anyway, Tamar, she is seen as sort of a heroine in this story for her wit and her cleverness and also her presumably more holy intentions. Potiphar's wife, one can feel a lot of sympathy for her because it's indicated in the Parsha that Potiphar isn't paying any attention to what's going on in his household, and one can imagine that means his wife as well. And here you have this, handsome man. Yosef is described as being very handsome a few times in the Parsha, and he's very actively involved in the household. And so she does try to seduce him. However, he resists in keeping with his values and his integrity. And she is not necessarily seen as much in a positive light as Tamar. And in fact,
which means what? That seduction for simple lust is not a good thing, and seduction for having children is the right thing?
That's how it is presented. Yes.
And in the Tamar story, do we also see in the Tamar and Yehuda story early signs of Judah, being more mature and owning his own actions?
I mean, on the surface, it seems like a remarkable moment because he gives credit to her. He indicates that she's more righteous than he is. And he says this publicly, and he is, also demonstrating the same kind of integrity and values that we've seen in Yosef. But the skeptic in me wonders if he sort of had no other choice, because it was very clear what had happened. And maybe he knew he did have some choice. I mean, he could have continued with his plot to get her burned and punished for this, but he kind of takes the responsibility. So I think we can read it as a moment of redemption for him and growth, personal growth, which will lead to future moments for him.
Yeah, to the moments that he will later have with Yosef when they reconvene.
Exactly. So he kind of maybe elevates himself to that level.
Michelle Goldhaber, thank you so much for this conversation. We urge everyone to go read the Parsha. It's a wonderful Parsha, really a great story. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.